What is your name?
My name is Sylvester Wooten.
Where were you born?
I was born in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Okay. And can you tell us about what year or the month for your birthday?
Excuse me?
What year you were born or what month you were born in?
June the 30th.
June 30th. Can you tell us a little bit about your birthplace or your hometown?
Route 2, Box 139, Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your parents when you were growing up?
Yeah, my father's name was Roosevelt Wooten. My mother's name was Maud Wooten.
Can you tell us about something that happened in your childhood that really sticks out, something that you remember from your childhood?
Repeat that?
Something that happened in your childhood that you remember?
Well, in my childhood, I was working on a farm all the way, and with 12 sisters and brothers. We was a farmer.
Were there any special duties or chores that you had? Like milking the cows or getting the eggs?
Well, I was grew up on plowing a mule, cotton, corn, sweet potatoes, peanuts, ribbon cane, hogs, cows, and working on a farm.
What were some of your experiences in school, like elementary school?
School?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my school experience was fine, but I never was a good tenant in school because we didn't have a chance. Going back in those 8 days that we had to work, and the girls could go to school, but the 5 boys had to work between time we went to school, which was good. As soon as we get out of school, we go home. We go to the cotton field. We worked on my daddy's land, family, and if it was season crop time or either planting, then we had to go out and plant corn, get the crop ready, everything like that. And when it was all well done, then we had a picking season. So we had to pick cotton. I used to pick 400 pounds a day. So we picked cotton, and we pulled corn season ready, peanut seeds ready. We cropped it, racked the peanuts up out in the field so they dry. Then we sit down through the winter when it rained or couldn't go to school or whatever. We sit down and pick off peanuts. Then we had a molasses ribbon cane. My father had a meal. Each and every one in the neighborhood would bring their ribbon cane, pile it up. My dad would make the molasses, make up everybody molasses. Everybody had their certain places that they would drop their pile. So we had the molasses mill down the hill from the house, and had mules going around grinding up the cane, and my dad was making the molasses. So you had 2 or 3 loads sitting pile here. We made yours first. He the second. Had about 5 or 6 people had their piles ready to be made. So we made molasses. That's what you eat with butter. And breakfast every morning, you eat molasses and butter, biscuits, and whatever. Then we cut pulpwood, cutting log to go to the mill. Then as the cotton get ready, we pick cotton, bag it up. We pick it, put it in the wagon, take it to Philadelphia to the gin, have it gin, and then we sell it. The cotton had to be clean. So we was taught to pick the cotton real clean. You don't get dirt on it. If you do, you don't get but 10 cents a pound. If it's clean, you get 20 cents a pound. That's the way we had things did. So we would take it up in the wagon in the morning with my father, take it to the gin, then we go back down on 5th Street there, park the wagon, then we would go out and do yard work for a doctor here and a doctor there. And about 4 o'clock, he said, well, it's time for y'all to go up and catch the wagon to go back out in the country. So that's the way we did there. I experienced that. And when the time to come to dig sweet potatoes, we raised a couple of 100 bushels. We lay them out in the field and they dry. Then we pick them up and we bank them, make out a bed. We bank those sweet potatoes in there, put straw around them. They stay there to January, February, March. We ate sweet potatoes all the winter. We ate molasses all the winter. And I remember my mother, we had an orchard, and she was a good canner. We canned 1,500 jars. She was in a contest. That's going back there about 1938. And she would can 1,500 jars. She won the competition of being able to produce more fruit than anybody in that area. And that's what we would eat during the winter months. And then we had hogs. We raised hogs. All our meat, we raised it. Then we killed the hogs. Then we cured it. We put it in a big trough and put salt around it. We cured it. We hang it up in the smokehouse. At a house, we put smoke, ham hanging up in there. Then the trough down there with fire, hickory wood, that we would smoke that ham and cure it. The same the way the molasses, when we were making the molasses, we would grind it up and ball it up. And then we put it in the cans. Then we finish it up. Then that's what we would eat, molasses, or either we go sell it for maybe 25 cents a gallon. Throughout the day. Sweet potatoes, we would take them in the town on Saturday morning. We put the little stuff in the wagon, go on downtown, go around peeling, knock on people's doors. Sweet potatoes or peanuts or whatever, they come out. We want some of this, how much it is, 25 cents. Everything was cheap. Little candy, peanuts, sweet potatoes, cucumbers, 3 for maybe a quarter throughout the life. Always was a farmer. I loved the farm. Cut pulpwood. But I always was the person out of the 5 boys loved to go to town with my father. Drove the horse and buggy. And I remember when I went in the Army, World War II, then I was working for a doctor before I went in the Army. And he said, when you come out of the Army, I want you to have the best cattle to start farming with, boy. I said, yes, sir. So when I come out of service, he bought me a pig, which is a hog, and a heifer calf, and some chicken, and a mule. He said, now they full-blooded, Pacific. His name was Dr. Harrison, the first doctor built a hospital in Philadelphia, Mississippi. And I did that, and I raised those hogs. That's going back in there around 1946. And then, after then, outside, after I went in service, I went in training in Camp Chevy, Mississippi. From there to Camp Lee, Virginia. Took my training. Went to Alabama. And from there, they told us they were going to give it the rest of my training overseas. So I was sent to Le Havre, France. And that's right after World War, the bomb Pearl Harbor over there. So I went into Le Havre, France, and I went in was picked as a cook, preparing food for the 150 soldiers. So we went in France, and we would get off and clean up. With the engineer outfit, we would clean up. Then I went on up in France, Le Havre, France. From there on up in Germany, Schwabach, Germany, Schwabach, Heidelberg, Bremenhaven, Germany. And after the mission over there, they transferred us back after peacetime, they transferred us back into the United States. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And from there, I was discharged after so little time. Then I went back in during the Korean War. I come out and went in the steel mill working as a coal maker. Then I went back in during the Korean War. They sent me to Camp Chevy, Chicago, Illinois. From there to Camp McCoy, Wisconsin. And they said, well, we see this boy did a little work in the Army as a cook, World War II. So we're going to bring him in the mess hall. Went in there and I went to cooking donuts, coffee, everybody coming in, seeing him, they looking, see. This boy, we're going to bring him in the mess hall. He's a pretty good soldier. So I learned how to proceed on my cooking in there. And I had one of the best 68 Engineer Comeback Group. It was an all black outfit, National Guard. They was from Pennsylvania, St. Paul, Minnesota, and St. Paul, Minnesota, read together. It was two cities together there. St. Paul and Minneapolis read together. So I had one of the best mess halls on that post, a cook. And we would prepare food. I had about 20 cooks under me. They was all college students from Pennsylvania, Minnesota, New York, National Guard. This is all black outfit. All of them was kinfolks. They was master sergeant, lieutenant, everything. But they was all a black outfit. So that way, it makes me feel more reliable, and I moved on up the ladder. Then I was preparing to cook there. And I was a cook at the NCO club for the officer, that I would go at night on my off days from the base. I would go there and prepare food for the NCO, captain, colonels. And they all wanted me to prepare the steaks. Usually, they know what I knew what they wanted when they walked in. So I was the chief there, and I had about 8 or 10 people working under me. They did the decoration of the plates, and I told them how they want the steak, over rare, medium rare, or over light, or well done. I had a salad girl, they did the decoration. The place was beautiful. So when the captain, all of them come in, He said, Sergeant Wooten here? Yes. Tell him I want the regular. Naturally, my girls were doing the fancy work at the plates. They was all together. So when they put the steak on there, they come in, they went to eat, they cut it just right. I did that, and I experienced that. 1951, they closed the post up there in Camp McCoy, Wisconsin, and I had two options, to go to Camp Carson, Colorado, or either go to Fort Leonard Wood. I said, I want to go back to Germany. He said, you ain't going back to Germany, you going to Fort Leonard Wood. So I said, well, I'll just, at that case, send me back home then.
Why did you want to go back to Germany?
The reason I wanted to go back to Germany because the car we drove on the opposite side of the street. The Germany people was good, up in Schwabach, Germany, and Heidelberg, Bremenhaven. There wasn't no black Germany or white Germany. We was all Dutchmen. When I asked them what time of day is, I said, we feel Urdu heaven. I want to go to their house. Why don't you gang to my house? What time you got? We feel Ur. What's your name? You Furling. What's your name? You Frau. Young girls named Furling. The older women, Frau. Fräulein. I learned how to speak some of that English, but it went in one ear and out the other one, because I couldn't hardly speak my own American language. But I made it. I seen some good days in there. I seen some bad days in there. But the whole time that I spent in the military, World War II and the Korean War, I come back home with all my fingers, all my toes, and I'm still here to talk about it. And the Army is a beautiful place to be in. The Navy. I had a brother in the Navy and one in the Army. They all come back, but they gone, but I'm still here. And I come back out, went to plowing a mule and picking cotton from sun to sun. And I don't regret it.
Back then, could you retire from the military? Like, being black, could you retire in the military?
Could you retire in?
Yeah. Could you have stayed in and retired?
Yeah, I could have stayed in, but I wanted to go to back to Germany. I didn't want to go to Fort Leonard Wood because they say if you wasn't a soldier, you would be there when they get through training you there. So I wanted to go back to Germany because I love over there in the Dutchen. And all my cooks was white Germany ladies. And I was the boss because I'm the mess sergeant. But we had all Dutchmen, they call them Dutchmen over there. They worked on my mess hall. 68 Indian comeback group over there. We was the Indian outfit over there. And they sent me and I went to school. I told them, the boss asked me when they got there, he said, what did you do back home, boy? I said, all I did was plow the mule from sun to sun. He said, ain't no cotton picking mules in this army, but we're going to make a cook out of you. And the first thing he did learn me how to cook stewed beef. So I knew that before I left home. Mama taught me how to cook. So I went to school up in Bremenhaven, Germany for a cook. And then when I learned how to cook, they sent me back to the outfit. The German lady taught me how to cook, to make that stewed beef. So I graduated from the cooking school in Bremenhaven, Germany. Then I was on my own. I was overseas can't remember the town now. I was saying that in Germany, Schwabach, Germany, that where we were stationed at, and I did the cook there, preparing. We didn't live in no barracks. We go down a hotel or downtown. We would take over that building, and the people had to go. So we just moved in with apartment, bedrooms and stuff like that. We didn't have barracks where we quarters that the army people had. We just walk in the city and take over, and to push the people right on out. I experienced that all through Schwabach, Germany, Mannheim, Grafenborg, Munich, and Bremen Hall, when we first got ready to transfer back to the state. Then we come from there to England, send us on back to the state. Now come on back into the.
When you were serving in the military, how were the relations from where you were to the United States? Did that like?
Beautiful. I wanted to go back to Germany. That's why I wanted to go back to Germany, because it was really nice and I enjoyed it. But they said, no, we're not sending you back to Germany. We're sending you to Fort Leonard Wood so you can be trained again. And when I was out in Colorado Springs, I wanted to go to Germany. And they said, no. I said, well, then send me back to St. Louis. I'll get out. And I stayed in reserve. Then I stayed in National Reserve. Then the last treatment that I can remember, I was sent to Forest Camp, not Camberley, Virginia Beach. And I was in the engineer outfit. I was transferred out there. And I left home one Sunday morning going that direction. And it was a storm coming up called Diane in Virginia Beach. So I got lost, and it was a car behind me. We stopped at a service station, and the man, I got a daughter, 12 years old. Let her ride with you, keep you company. And we gonna trail each other because we was going to the same place. And I said, well, I appreciate it because I'm lost and I never been this way. So the daughter got in my car. So we exchanged information, license plates and everything. So if we get mixed plates of each other, we could call and let them know where we were. So by me driving all the way 1,200 miles, never been that way, didn't know how to read a map, but we got lost somewhere. Crossing them ferries, we got lost. So we missed track of each other. So I pulled over 150 miles out of Virginia Beach. And I saw a policeman, I asked him, I said, I got lost, and me and this guy, I got his daughter with me, and we lost to each other. This is his license plate, and we going to the same outfit. So you contact them, let them know I got misplaced, but I'm on my way. So then he called back and said, we found him. Said he's on his way. We ain't worried about Sergeant Wooten, because he's on his way here, the same outfit I'm going to. So we met up at the station. Then that's when I transferred his daughter back to his car. So they said, we found him. And so I was there to 1956. When that Diane come through a storm, they told us we had to get out of there at 12:01 midnight because that storm was coming in and going to watch out Virginia Beach. So we had to go to high land. And crossing them ferries, we had to get out of there before 12:01 midnight. Then I come on back into the state in North Carolina. That's where I remained until I got discharged. And coming back into this states, from Virginia, I come on back into Fort Carson, Colorado. And I remained there as a mess sergeant over that 68 Engineer Comeback Group.
Until you were discharged.
In service there in Colorado Springs, and I was a mess sergeant there. Okay. Colorado Springs is the city closest where we were. Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, and I always loved to go up on Pikes Peak so I could see the snow every afternoon. I loved that city. And then after my time was up, and I said, well, I go, if y'all send me to Germany, I'll re-up. But there's no, you going into Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Fort Leonard Wood for more training to go. You can't go to Germany. I said, well, send me back to St. Louis, I'll get out of it. So that's what it was.
So your entire military career, how long did you serve in total?
Well, between World War II and the Korean War, I just remember how long, but I served in both of them.
Okay.
And come out as an honorable discharge
Okay.
as a sergeant, all the way through. I never had one problem with the military. Everything was excellent. And I come out with my sergeant rank, honorable discharge.
Your dad want to ask you a question.
Yeah, Dad, I want to ask you a question. You told me one time about in Mississippi, up in Philadelphia, how they treated y'all when y'all came back from the war, and how y'all went out in the woods that night and stopped them when they come out there gonna do something to somebody. Everybody got out there in the woods when they come out there, and they didn't come out there no more.
Well, that,
Philadelphia.
that was in Philadelphia there.
Right.
Well, that was when, well, when I
So
was,
you went they would see y'all in town. Y'all have nice horses, nice wagons, and everything. Had come back
Yeah.
from the war, and they didn't like that.
well, and that out, we was there, we had a doctor there, made sure that we had the best farming stuff to work with.
You're talking about us as Wootens,
Yeah,
our family.
yeah, our family.
What was his name?
Doctor, it was Dr. Harrison, Dr. Yates, they was all connected with the draft board. So I want to talk about that because they the one that furred us to keep you from going in the army so early, you know. They was the head of it, so they had rules that said what they want to say. They deferred to keep it from going in the early 44, then we'd have got probably killed. All good farmers, they didn't want to send them over there right away. They sent the farmers that don't want to go to school, don't want to work. So they kept us there to do the farming. We good folks. So we made it all the way through. But I had experience when I come back, zigzag coming out of Camp Carson, Colorado, was going to Colorado, coming out from 6th in their comeback group from Wisconsin, Camp McCall, Wisconsin, back home and left there, going to Colorado Springs. And I was stopping on the highway to get something to eat. They wouldn't serve me. So I had to go around to the back. And I had my uniform hanging up in my car and all like that. And then I meet a policeman, explained it to him. I didn't eat there. I got back in my car. I told him about it. He said, "Come on, follow me." We went back to the restaurant, walked in. He said, "This man served in the United States. He's in service. He's serving his country. He's entitled to come in here and eat. So y'all feed him." I said, "Yes, sir." They fed me. He followed me out of town then about 20 miles. I was on my way to Kansas City, from Kansas City to Colorado Springs, 956 miles.
I want to know about Philadelphia. When y'all stopped them from messing with you up in Philadelphia, you told me y'all went out in the woods at night. And when they come up there, you lit them up, and they left and never come back.
Well, what they did, in Philadelphia was a place. They had Klansmen, and when a black person got nice mules, good farm, they would pick at you. And on Saturday night or something, they get together and they come to your house and they start shooting. They said, "We come after you." So this is what went along, going back there about 1944, 45, 47, like that. Until the soldiers come in there with us, then we felt that that wasn't right. We served our country, and we had privilege to get a good mule just like you, a wagon like you, or something like that. Then we had a gangster there. He had about 14 sharecroppers. So he was.
That's the man you said used to always have a Tommy gun, the Thompson machine gun.
Yeah, that's Wiley McLean, the gangster I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
He had 17 boys.
Wiley McLean.
And he had 2 boys in the back of that truck with machine gun, and he had one in the front. And anytime we would do something wrong or something to get in jail, and that Monday morning we ain't out home to work, and he said he's downtown in jail. So they would come down there, the sheriff, the gangster would get his truck, they drive down and say, I want to see the sheriff. And they said, no, you can't see him. The police is standing up there with guns. And they walk up and take the gun, throw him on the ground, say, where's the sheriff at? Get out of the way. They go on in there. And I remember when that sheriff, gangster walked up and said, where's the sheriff? He said, well, he's not in. He said, give me that gun. Threw it down like that. And he walked on back there and the sheriff, well, I didn't know it was you. He said, you know who I am? I said, no, I don't know who he is. He said, well, I'm a gangster. I'm Wiley McLean. Said, you police, get out of the way. And went on in there and told him that, I see you got some of my guys in here service record. From the service, you treating them like they dirt. When all they did is drink a little booze. Yeah, we got them in here. They was drunk. But let them out. Get up, Sheriff, and let them out. You don't remember who this is. This is a gangster. They let them out. Said, don't you get none more of these boys in here.
What's the worst thing you remember that happened in Philadelphia or in Meridian personally when they come to dealing with the Klan and dealing with racial issues? What's the worst thing you remember?
The worst thing that I can come up and see that they did in that city.
In what city? Philadelphia?
Philadelphia. I'm talking about Philadelphia now.
Mm-hmm.
All good farmers that had their land and good horses and stuff, they experienced it. They didn't like it because you had that. So they got to where by 1947, something like that, they would come to your house on Saturday night with a truckload of them. And when they come in your road in the country, they would say, hey, nigga, we come after you.
Nigga?
Nigga, that's what they said. Nigga, we come after you. Just like that. And so after the blacks went to getting together and get guns and stuff, and they put their wives and kids in a basement or sent them out of town that they said that they're coming after you. And when we got to get up, when the blacks went to getting up in trees and things, when the truck come in, they holler there, and the blacks started shooting at them. And they holler, say, y'all get out of here. Them niggas done went crazy up there. And they start running. That I remember in that area in 1947. I experienced it. Nobody had to tell me. Because I was running too. Glad to run. So that's some of the terriblest things that I experienced in there. And I remember there in Philadelphia where those 3 civil rights leaders
Goodman, Cheney, and Smyrna
was coming there getting them to vote. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want them to vote. That was Mount Zion Baptist Church.
That's right.
Sandtown Hill.
We've been there.
Philadelphia, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they killed those 2 black boys and 1 white guy.
No, 2 white, 1 black.
Black, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2
white, 1
2
black.
blacks and 1 white.
2 white.
2 black.
2 white.
It was 2 whites and 1 black.
Goodman, Cheney, and Smyrna.
And they dug a hole and put them in there and buried them. But later they found out it was some good people found it out, white people, and that's what tipped them off. They went there and they found them. And they was only trying to get the blacks in that area where they could vote. They kicked them, they beat them, they did everything they wanted to do. That's my experience with them there in that city. But we had good people there.
Okay, I want to say something now. This is my daddy. When I got here in 1980, I came back to Mississippi from East St. Louis. And my babies were little. and I would take him to the mall, and there was a security guard. He was tall, smoked a pipe like Sherlock Holmes. And he would play with my little girls because we lived 30 miles from town, we would come in to get our provisions. And he said, they're my little girls, and he would love to play with the girls. Then they came and made the movie Mississippi Burning. And I looked in either the Newsweek or the Time magazine, and I saw his picture. And when we went back downtown the next time, I said, sir, I said, is that your picture I see in the magazine now in reference to what happened in Philadelphia? He dropped his head and he said, yeah, that's just the way it was back then. But I work for a black man now because the man that owned the security company was a black guy. Now, that meant that even back then, the way it was exactly what they did to Goodman, Cheney, and Smyrna. But he said Mississippi was different because he worked for a black man. But I just want you to know that that man played with this girl and her two sisters for a long time back in the 80s. And he was the deputy sheriff in Philadelphia, Mississippi when Goodman, Cheney, and Smyrna were murdered.
What advice would you give?
But personal, my experience in Philadelphia, Mississippi, my daddy was a man. Everybody stood up for him. Never had him any trouble. Anything we wanted downtown in big stores at the banking, we didn't have that trouble. But when we go to the gin and take stuff to sell, we got 20 cents a pound, and the people that work tell them this is Mr. So-and-so cotton, he got 80 cents a pound. So they said our cotton wasn't clean. And my daddy would whoop you if that cotton, when Big Buzz, wasn't clean. We knew it was clean. But long as we said, it's the boss's cotton, he gonna get 90 cents a pound. If you said it's gonna make mine, you get 20 cents a pound. So you worked it, it's betwixt and between. And Miss Pittman was a relative of ours there in Philadelphia. She the one walked to that fountain to drink water. And that quarter that she was working, church quarter up a hill right downtown Philadelphia, she was the first black that got them. They put a little road in there where we could come up to the black section. Started off. Little bus station, just a little hole. Come in there in 5 minutes and gone. Walking downtown, I remember my personal. A white was walking downtown. Lady, you had to walk in the street. They walk on the sidewalk. That's the way it was. The fountain, we said, nigger here and right there. I experienced that. But I experienced it, but I never was treated the same if you were treated. Because who I were, that name, my dad had a name. And if you was a worker and you believe in it right, want to have something, you got a whole bushel of apples and half of them is good and half of them is bad. So by facing the problem to me always wasn't, I was good, but I was faced with you walking down the street, there's a different color, you had to walk out in the street because afraid you may get too close to it. But that has changed. It's not different in that city no more. But everybody, I never experienced went hungry. My daddy hadn't went hungry. Anything he wanted to make the farm equipment, he didn't have no problem. Because his name, Roosevelt Wooten.
How much land did they have? How much land did y'all have?
166 acres of land. It was the best cotton land in Shelby County. And we made 10, 15, 20 bales of cotton a year, 100 bushel of peanuts, 100 bushel of corn. Mama Cam had our own orchard. And the worst experience back there at 39, we was all over in the field and looked up, the house was on fire because we was working and didn't want to help someone else, and so
Who was someone else?
the white people. Dad and them they wanted me to come over there and work for them, and we go over there and pick cotton and work for them, and you don't go, then they get mad and want to burn your house down. Mm-hmm. And we was in the field, and they come up into the woods, set the house on fire. Okay, the government built it back.
It burnt down?
Burn it all the way down. In the country, 20, 25, 30 miles from the city, you ain't got no water protection out there. So you get buckets and things in the well, you can't put out a house. So everything went down to the ground. So the government built the house back. We was over in the field where we plant peanuts, picking off peanuts, racking them up in the field. We digging them up with the mules or pulling them up, and then we rack them up in bed out in the field. They dry. Mm. And then we didn't have anything to do. We go out and pick off peanuts and take them to town and sell them for maybe 50 cents a bushel. That's the way that was, and experienced that. But for Philadelphia, the Rainey, the one that killed that, got involved with that, he was the chief. He was the main one that plot to kill those civil rights leaders. He was one of the nicest fellas I thought it was, because he treated my dad and us this like human beings. But he did that.
Y'all couldn't vote then?
Oh, there wasn't no voting. They come to your house and say, how many you got in your family? Well, I got 5. Okay, he gone on. You don't know which way the vote went.
Did you pay taxes?
Big power. Oh, we paid taxes, yeah. But you couldn't vote. You couldn't vote. The man was something head of it. He'd come around. How many in your house? So and so and so on. Well, it's 4 of us. Okay, bye. We'll see you later. And they could take your name and put it where they want to put it in.
For the vote?
Yeah, the vote. And you couldn't vote, period, the other way. If you in a vote to go down that line, they come back there and want to shoot you. Better not go down that line and want to vote.
When's the first time you voted?
The first time I voted?
Mm-hmm. First time you was able to vote?
It wasn't, I wasn't able to vote in Mississippi, period. My first time voting when I was drafted in the Army and then come back out. Then I come north, went to work, and I voted. But you couldn't vote. You had to give your name, and the man coming in there, he get your name. How many you got in your house? That's the only thing we know of. We don't know which way the vote went. So far as me going signing my name, that's history.
Tell us about being the first black bus driver in East St. Louis.
Second? Was it first?
I was the second, yeah.
You was the second black bus driver?
I was the second black bus driver in East St. Louis, Illinois. Was able to drive a bus.
How'd they treat you?
And the experience I treated then, my superintendent, he was from Alabama. He was white, but he was good. He believed in give everybody a chance. He said, you're going to be called names, nigger, coon, whatever. But see and don't see, and hear and don't hear. Mm-hmm. Be courteous. Good morning, and good afternoon. The whole time that I was working, I never had too much of a trouble. I had them to call me coon and nigger. But I turned my head and said, good morning, how are you? Several guys, they went to different cities driving, and they called him a coon. One driver told him, little boy said, Mama, who is that, Dad? Mama said, who is that? That's a nigger driving the bus. She said, I've been riding buses for 10 years, 20 years. Never rode with a coon before. That driver said, well, ma'am, you gonna ride with a lot of more coons. And all of the time they get in on me, I had particular lines that I went in, they never seen nobody like me. But I said, good morning, have a good day. Never had 1 minute's trouble, but a few name calls. Because my superintendent said, you got to be courteous. You had 40 people riding. I gained their friendship. They went to bringing me cookies in the afternoon. I throw them out the window when I get to the end of the line. But I never had no trouble. I tell my friends, I said, y'all do the same thing. I said, now, you get this, your boss man said, be courteous. You wear a clean shoe shine, clean shirt, and good morning and goodbye. And I did that, and my record stand for myself. And my record with the company, retired, never had 1 minute's trouble.
How long you been retired?
I've been retired since '82. And it was possible for me to eat hot dogs and neck bone after I retired. And I got a record with the company. And I recommend a few guys that I know personally. Took him to my superintendent, said, he just finished college. So I would like to know, can he get hired? He finished the University of Illinois, and when he went to a bank, business and management, and they said, well, we don't have niggas in here. So I told him, I said, well, you got to start somewhere to climb up. He said, I went to college to be a banker, but they told me I had to wash dishes or mop the floor. And I said, come on in and work with the company I worked for. He did, and he'd been there 40 years and had no trouble.
Who is he?
That's my son. That's my son. I'm not going to say his name because he may have child support to pay. So we're going to leave it back just like that. But he's a type of man, he liked to work. And he loved his job. And he have got quite a few guys recommending for the job. Just like his daddy. And when I told him, the superintendent, I would like for him to hire him, he said, well, your record stands for yourself. He said, bring him in when he want to go to work. I said, tomorrow. So he's been working 40 years and ain't had him any trouble. So, throughout my life, the world don't owe me nothing. Through my Army career, I was treated as a soldier. I was treated as a soldier. They sent me to school in Fort Benning, Georgia. I couldn't even write a letter to my mom and daddy. That guy come in there and said, how many of you guys know how to write, send a letter to your mother and father? It was about 25 or 30. So we was a farmer. Went to school maybe 2 or 3 days out of a month. The school teacher didn't have but a 6th grade education. But we made it. But they made us, and we was good. They sent us to school, and when you couldn't write that letter, some kind of word you got to write to your mom and daddy. This guy sitting over there, the big guy, he weighed about 150 pounds. He was a rough joker too. He had a strop. That when he got through with that strop, whooping this back there, you gonna know how to write, mom and dad, and so I'm doing fine. They called it STU school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And from that day, they sent us straight to the Harbor Friends. Right after bomb Pearl Harbor, the cleanup boys over there. And that's when we went in there and holding their children coming in there. Can I have some candy? Please give me some water. And they eat out of their garbage can. American other color would shoot them. But they was trained, a little child, 6 years old. Do you have in V. Gates for that comrade? Do you have candy for my little sister? Or give me some water? Other soldiers shoot them. But we wouldn't do it. They called us soldier Prima. And a white soldier, they called him he marking us kaput. That means they kill us.
How in the world that man know that?
And turn right around then, and he would, we would give him something. But they was train them kids, trained at a certain age, they know how to throw a hand grenade and kill up a bunch of soldiers. So you had to be on your P's and Q's, but they wouldn't hurt brown soldiers. We was brown soldiers, and they was white soldier marking us kaput. Brown soldier is premium. That's what they call it. They good guy. But the white soldier, they said they marking us kaput. That means kill them. So we was the cleanup boys. We go in a whole place. People's in there. We just dig a hole, put them in there, cover them up, and keep on going. Train was running about a half a minute. You could go in the store and come back and catch that train going into up in France and on up in Germany. That's where the train going. Tip, 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 tip. We get off and go back and then catch the train. One on up in Le Havre, France, on up in Germany. The same way.
Were the cleanup boys all black battalion?
Yeah, all black.
You go in, y'all went in and cleaned up the mess.
Yeah, we cleaning up where they done bombed at. We said, well, we did dig holes and put the peoples in there and cover them up and kept on going. The whole city, like St. Louis or a big city, they done bombed that, and the people gas and things, people are dead. So we just take with engineer outfit, that was a cleanup. So engineer is the one that cleaned up
With the bulldozer.
and cover them up and kept on going on up in Germany. From France, Le Havre, France, on up in Germany, Schwabach, Germany, Mannheim, Grafenborg, Heidelberg. That's the city that I went through with. Cars on the opposite side of the street you're driving on. They are nice people, and you didn't have any problem with them. But the kids, the smaller generation, you had to watch them because they were trained to throw a hand grenade and kill up a bunch of soldiers. So we had to be on our P's and Q's. You couldn't accept anything for them, and they couldn't lie and talk, see? Because they come up and they say, give me a little candy to take home to my sister, give me a piece of bread to take home to my little sister or my father, a cigarette butt, or whatever you might have. I experienced some of that in life. And what I like about it, I'm here to talk about it.
Yeah.
Got all my fingers, got all my toes. And I love the army, I love the military.
Still got a little bit of sense. And you still got a little bit of sense.
I still got 2% sense.
This is the last question. What advice would you give for the young people of today's generation?
Back it up one question.
What advice would you give for the young people today?
Well, the young people that I would give today is when they come in the world that I always heard people say, my mother said, Father, when I come here, they always would spank you back then. Say, your name is Bill. Don't forget that. And I experienced Bill means that you keep your record clean. The young people today, we walk in, stay in school, get your education, your record's going to be with you as long as you live. The first thing you go looking for a job, anything, what's your date of birth? It's right back there. When you come in the world, mama spank that back there and say, your name is Sylvester, so don't forget that, boy. I ain't forgot it yet. And it's just like when I went in service overseas. They told me, so you know what your MOS number going to be? Yep. They said, don't forget that, boy. You get your head blowed off when you go in there in a foxhole now.
What was your number?
ER 143921. I ain't forgot it yet. Can't even think about my own driving license. No, but I can think about that ER 143921. That was my number. If they get you, you better say that name. They know you America. The identification card. That was my ID on the tag we wrote. I ain't forgot that number yet. Person said, what's your MOS number? ER 143921. How can you remember that? Look how long they've been in 44. I said, I don't know. I guess listening to all them bullets over there make you think about a lot of things. But it was beautiful. I enjoyed the military. I advise anybody, get your education, join the military to be a mechanic, airplane. It used to be You couldn't do it. But World War II, we had blacks who were very, very good. Airplane pilots, World War I rather. But you never see it in history, that what they did, until here later years, different things come up where they show this black fella did this over there. Airplane mechanic, all that kind of stuff like that. You couldn't get into that, period. They wouldn't let you in there, but they let other colors get in there. But not you, because your name is too, either name an N or a W. That's mean a nigger or black, white. That's the way technology that they did. So I would give any young person to keep your record clean, because it's going to be with you long as you live. And teach your children the same way. And right today, I can say the experience that I had in Fort Sheridan, Illinois, from there to Camberley, Virginia, to Alabama, where I took my, where's that, Alabama, rather. Schooling, I learned that in service. Common sense, or make history out of education. All the education in the world you can have, if you don't have sense enough to say, good morning, how are you, watch your step, you lost. I'm speaking about personal contact. And I'm 90 years old, and I never experienced anything different. If you give respect, you're going to get it. If a person don't speak to you, turn your head and keep on going. It wasn't your friend in the first place. So that's the experience I would tell anybody. We got children. Keep whatever's on your record, it's going to be there. Unless you, with the right person, going to spend some money and they'll send you to school and get it off your record, and then you're all right, Mr. Good Boy then. Other than that record's going to hang you longer you live. Or either hang you. Oh, so I advise anybody that I had a person in my life all the way through World War II, the Korean War that I went in, all my life up. I never forgot my mother and father. Said one person you could depend on, and that's God. He can take you places you've never been before and never fail. He may not come when you want him, but he's right on time. So I experience anybody to do that. It's going to be hard, because children today is going to tell you, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. He's old fashioned, blah, blah, blah. But keep on living. You're going to get old one day. And that road's going to be hard. You ain't going to see all good days in that. It ain't going to be all the vanilla ice cream, all chocolate ice cream and no vanilla. You ain't got nothing. You got to mix that up now. Because they ain't like it used to be. All vanilla and no chocolate, you ain't got nothing, because the black folks left out. But the generation today, you could look in and think about what the old people talk about the Bible. Man would come wise and weak. Destroy themselves. Airplanes going 200 miles an hour. Cars 150 miles an hour. All that. Fast life. Man would destroy himself. God would raise him up a nation that'll obey. And where's he from? Straight from the east. What's in the east? A dark race of folks. All you got to do now is look at these stores and gas stations. There's a black man come in there with white woman, 4 or 5 kids. Here's a white man coming in with a black woman. Got all mixed up. Where they from? From the east. They from the east. They don't know nothing about no black and white. Just like Germany. They just know me as a Dutchman. Some of them would say brown soldier and white soldier. But they never heard a word about a nigger. The United States, I believe, the only country that I heard that had an N, what that means. And they don't know what it means. but they got it up there. But I would like to explain that all the blacks, young person, black and white, get your education. It ain't like it was when I come out. Mom and daddy could take a hammer and go out and build a house much better than what they're building it now. But now you got to know blueprint to even put on a line. And when you get a job before, you go in, the man says, I want you to hire this person. They hire them right then, fill out the papers. Ain't no more days like that. Now they put your resume, they want a resume. And you got to know how to fill it out. So you got to stand on your own 2 foot. Then they say you ain't qualified, you overqualified. So what you gonna do? You got to befit yourself. Some school you come out of it. If you get to 6th grade, we had a school that I know that if you make it to the 6th grade, you can pass the 12th grade education test. But that's because the teacher will whoop you. Then the other teacher will whoop you. You get home, mom and dad gonna whoop you again. There ain't gonna be no just spanking. It's gonna be some whops about that. But that's my experience in it. And I done seen some good days and bad days. I done took a lot. But I pushed the bad to the side and picked up the good. I remember one time in Philadelphia, Mississippi, I walked in that hospital and I told the lady I would like to speak Dr. Harrison. Used to work for him. Now, big plantation. His sister, the one that sold us the land. 166 acres for $2,500. Chicken, dog, cats, possum, everything for $2,500. And they said, y'all keep it up. Take care of that place. Nice people. You wouldn't want no people better than them. And whatever it might be, I never had no problem. And it was all good. And I went in that, come home on a furlough, and I walked in that hospital and asked the lady, I said, could I see Dr. Harrison? And she said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, ma'am. Well, what you want to see him for? I said, just tell him Sylvester want to see him. Other than whistle over there, that one whistle. I couldn't understand what they talking about. I know what they were talking about, but I didn't want to come out and say it. Whistle, I said, ma'am, can I see Dr. Harrison? And went back, hey, Lily, here's a dark guy here who wants to see Dr. Harrison. Well, he don't have an appointment. Who is he? I said, tell Dr. Harrison who I am to come to see me. And one morning, Dr. Harrison, here's a dark guy here who wants to see you. You know him? He looked like, Sylvester, come on in. Walked on in there and sat down and talked with him and chat with him and everything. Oh, he on the furlough? I said, yes, sir. He said, don't forget before you leave now, you go out and see my sister before you go back to service now. I said, yes, sir. He said, when you come out, I want you to get them horses and pigs and cows and gonna raise a farm. I'm gonna buy them for you when you come home. He did that. He did that. And I had some of the finest hog you want to see. And I left, didn't want to farm no more, and I went north. Later on Christmas, I had a hog down there called Buck, weighed 600 pounds. Mama come to the back door and said, Buck, the hog answered her and talked to her. Weighed 600 pounds. That was full-blooded red cattle that this doctor bought for me, white doctor. They want you to, Sylvester, we want you to have the best to work with. Because he knew all 5 brothers and my daddy stood for something. Their records said they would work and have what they want to have. And they made it possible that we could climb on up to whatever we wanted. Didn't have no problem at all. Unless you start bootlegging whiskey, making whiskey around there, then you're going to get in trouble because they're going to run you off, pick at you. So
why did your dad leave Mississippi?
My father had to leave. We was going to town that morning with a wagon. He was a bootlegger whiskey, know how to make that whiskey, make you do the Choctaw thing. And somebody else was jealous. So we was driving along, and somebody come up in an old T-Model Ford, jump in the wagon, and they started. My daddy cut him, and when he cut him, then he pushed him off, and we kept going. Then he got scared, and they went to threaten him, so he got his hat and slipped away, and never went back there since. Even if we go down there sometime visiting, I said, well, that man ain't here now. He dead and gone. He said, he dead and gone, but he still might rise up and shoot. Cut me again. I cut him.
Where did he slip away to?
He went to East St. Louis.
What?
Where did your daddy go? He went to St. Louis, didn't he?
He caught that GM&O.
And went to East St. Louis?
East St. Louis, Illinois. That's where he went. Never went back down. And when he was on his way down sometime in the car, he lay down in the back seat. Didn't want to be seen. Going through them streets and things, or highways down there, got on there. He was scared, just scared. And he always had a 38 on him all the time, but he was scared. He kept that 38 on him all the time. But he was going to use it, but he was scared, and he just didn't want to go back there. So when he did that, then there you go. One started from another. They went to picking at my sisters and stuff like that. I'm going to run them off. And they burnt my brother's house down. So later on, they got so scared they had to leave. That's the way they did. People, they get to picking at you, then they're going to pick at you, and then when you go out on the road with a bale of cotton sometime, but somebody come out of a ditch, just like they did Bud Chapman back there about 1939. They got him up there with in a car. He's a gangster. A black person was taking care of him, feeding him and cooking for him. So he had the chauffeur in the gangster car had word that when you see so-and-so tree shake limb, you pull over and jump out. So he jumped out, boom, 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 boom. So that's how they killed Bud Chapman back there about 1939. Never forget that. In Sandtown, Choctaw Town, that's what he was. He was in the ditch. The chauffeur had ordered to jump to the left in the ditch, run the car this way. Then they set that car on fire. As one of the big gangsters in the South, banker gangster, money folk, money man. He didn't go after $2. He went at millions, robbing banks and stuff like that. Bud Chapman. I remember that plain and good. Even though that's a good city,
What's the
a good
first
state.
thing you did when you went to East St. Louis after you left Mississippi? What's the first work that you got?
The first work, like I went into a steel mill. No, I went into a packing house. When the packing house, walked in there with a bill that morning, it was 25 million in there waiting on a job. I walked in the door and stood up in the door. And the man come out, he pointed his hand at me. You boy, you want to work? Yes, sir. Come on. That's all, guys. Y'all go back home now. Come back tomorrow. That man just come here. How we going? We've been here since hour. And the boss, well, y'all come back tomorrow. Took me on there and went to work.
What'd you do?
Never could in a soft pit, pushing a wheelbarrow with soft meat, pushing around in there. Wrote me up and said, I want you to go in soft packing. That's where you put meat in a wheelbarrow and take it to different places in the packing house. Load it up. You speak to him, all he tell you to do, get that wheelbarrow. He never would speak to you. He had 1 hour. Called him Pazzi. He had 1 hour. And you, good morning. Get that truck, boy. Get that meat over there. Get that meat over there. That's the way I did, right in the packing house. Stayed there. Come good friend. Got laid off. I went over to the steel fountain. Walked in there and got hired just like that. Other guys walking around there looking for jobs. That man just walked in here. He come in here.
What'd you do at the steel mill?
The steel mill.
You started driving cab?
I went in the steel mill, drove steel mill, driving taxi cab at the same time.
Same time.
In part-time. And got in with some of my relatives, the owner to stay in, and he bought me my first car. And I converted into driving taxi cab, working in a steel mill, because they work you 6 months and lay you off. Then you lose all your money, then they call you back for a few more days. So you never get anything accumulated to do any good with. But I had a hard way to go, but I didn't fail. I never went hungry, and always made it. Well, I could talk about it today. I can't complain. But it was all about the help of the Lord. And once you got him on your side, you can't lose. The road might be heavy, but you get up and keep on going.